Hello and welcome back to the A to Z of Football podcast. It's everyone's favourite time of the week. I'm Alex the A. I'm here with Zach Z. You know what? I keep on messing this up. We should have it nailed by now. I'm Alex the A. I'm with Zach the
Z. There you go.
Many apologies to our viewers or listeners. I promise I'll spend the next week practicing. If that's any consolation.
In the mirror. Just keep saying
In
it
the
3
mirror.
times. Yeah.
Although, if you are listening to this now, look, just don't be too hard on me. Me and Zach, look, we could be out in the sun. I could be topping up my tan, my non-existent tan, but I'm not. We're sitting inside. I've got my curtains closed, lights behind here, just for the viewing pleasure.
I did go for a walk yesterday, and I'm a bit darker, but I'm still pale English boy. So.
Oh yeah, I couldn't tan to save my life. But anyway, we're not here to talk about tanning. We're here to talk about football because otherwise it'd be called the A to Z of tanning podcast, and I don't think that would be quite suited to.
I don't know if there's an A to Z of that anyway.
Okay, right. We're waffling. What are the 3 topics that we're going to be talking about today, Zach?
We've got a fun one today, Alex. I must say, I'm enjoying looking forward to talking about these with you. We are going to be reviewing the Bundesliga, and we're also going to previewing the very important game of Dortmund versus Bayern Munich, 5:30 kickoff today. Actually, of day of recording, it's 5:30 p.m. today.
So by the time you're watching this, it'll be over, so you can judge on what.
We can see how wrong we were.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about obviously other games that have been happening as well. And just see how the Bundesliga is getting on as a whole, obviously, with this new way of football life we're living at the moment. We're also going to talk about some more English football stuff. We're going to talk about League 1 and 2, the things that they have done so far. League 2 looking to cancel the season, and what League 1 do, and what it may mean in a further question for the whole of the EFL. Are the Premier League going to have to step in terms of funding, in terms of getting the championship done, and what that means for when the Premier League comes back. And also we're going to have a fun little topic about England to be the hosts for the 2030 World Cup and what that may look like, what we can expect, and just a fun little chat there. We'll probably do that towards the end. So, Alex, let's get started. Let's think about currently in this world that we're living in. Let's talk about the football that's going on. Let's talk about the Bundesliga.
Bundesliga, right. Bundesliga review. So, how about we just sort of start with how we've judged the first sort of couple of weeks so far of it being back and like how we think it's gone.
Sure.
I'm actually so obviously you're coming into it. We knew there was going to be all these sort of stipulations and little bits which were going to be really weird, and obviously the big one is no fans in the stadium. With all of that being taken into account, and with all of the sort of backlash it's had, I actually think it's done very well. And I think they've done it really, really well in the way that they brought it back. Look, they've been so consistent with what their sort of rules are with subs and players and like what they're allowed to do. Like obviously no handshakes and whatever, and making sure in every single game that is like that's down to the ground and that's done. And then it is just nice, like having sort of moments and little things to watch and to talk about and to think about, because not having anything, you don't have any of these little moments, these scores, you see that result and stuff. So I understand the critics of it, of course I do, and I get a lot of the atmosphere. It is really weird. Like for example, when I watched Dortmund versus Schalke, just a whole massive stadium with usually filled with 80,000 fans just empty. So of course I get that side of it, but at the same time, it's what you've got to put up with at the moment, and I think all in all, it's been a very successful sort of point that they've come back in. They've played the first 2 weekends well. What do you make of that?
So I think I pretty much agree with you there, Alex. What I would say is I think sort of the smaller things they've done have been quite impressive to me. You know, when you celebrations, no handshakes, things like this.
Mm.
Even though they're in close contact sport and you can't really stop that when playing football, they are taking literally every measure when outside of that and also on the pitch to reduce risk, reduce spread. I know testing's been quite good in all this as well.
Yeah,
Germany as a whole has been very good on that side of things anyway.
Yeah.
In terms of the football, yes, it's weird watching. I will admit, I have found it quite weird watching it without a crowd, and I found that with a lot of other things as well. I watched the UFC the other day, and that was just bizarre. But ultimately, I think the standard of football's been pretty good. I can't put it down on that at all. I mean, we'll talk about a few of the stand-up teams in a bit, but I think it's been really lovely to see sort of them come back, sort of the same sort of consistency and excitement for it as they did when the season was cancelled. What you got any standout teams for you, Alex? Obviously.
So I really like the look of Bayern Leverkusen so far. I think obviously you've got the main ones, Bayern Dortmund, which we'll talk about in a sec. But Bayern Leverkusen, so in the last two games coming back, let me just double check their results.
Yeah, I think they've done rather well, actually, haven't they? They've sort of jumped right back on it, and where are Bayern Leverkusen? They're fourth, aren't they?
So they were fourth. I think they started in about sixth, seventh position. They won 4-1 away at Werder Bremen, and then 3-1 away at Mönchengladbach, who were having, and I guess you could still say are having a really good season on that by their standards. Like Bayern, like Kai Havertz, that kid just looks class.
For sure.
Like I think obviously, I mean, he's linked with Manchester United, he's linked with Liverpool, as every young half decent player is, but he looks great. Like Leon Bailey looks flipping phenomenal. So they're a team that have really caught my eye.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. I do my Super Six every week, as you should.
Oh yeah.
And that last game, Leverkusen were in. I had that down for a draw because they're both of the teams were in sort of close scale. They both had quite a decent season. But Leverkusen, they just seem to be on fire. They've had. Did you say they had two? They've had two away games. They haven't even played in their stadium yet.
Yeah.
And they've just demolished
4-1 and 3-1 wins. That's impressive.
That's very impressive. That's high goal difference, and I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't actually seen Leverkusen play, but looking at the highlights, looking at the scores that they've got, it's quite exciting, and I think they may be a little bit away from Dortmund and Bayern Munich in terms of points and in terms of thing, but if they get Champions League football, that's where Leverkusen traditionally are. So
I think that's where they historically want to be in, and at a time like this, then I think 100% they take that.
I would say I think a lot of people have been sort of were concerned that the standard of football may drop from it all because obviously no fans, no thing, and a lot of people have called it a glorified training match, and I don't know about that. I think
that's a bit unfair.
They've come back with the same intensity as they left, and I've been impressed by what I've seen. I've seen a lot of positives which the Premier League could take on for sure.
I see. Yeah, I mean, as you say, like you're right. I think what's been impressive is the intensity and the level that they have come back. There's from my point of view, obviously neither of us are huge Bundesliga fans in the first place, but you can tell that they want it. Like it didn't seem like any team were really sort of concerned at all. Maybe Schalke, but I think they were just outclassed by a better Dortmund team last week. And like there's been some great games. I was going to ask you, what do you make of RB Leipzig? Because obviously going into these two matches, they were, I think, only 2 points behind Dortmund or something. Like they were in the title race, and now suddenly after two games, even though they won convincingly away Oh, who was it? So, but they won convincingly 5-1 away.
Yeah.
But then in the first game, drew 1-1 at home, and like they feel like a bit of a sort of Arsenal type team where sometimes
Yeah.
they can smash teams
Yeah.
and sometimes they're just all over the place.
Well, I think Leipzig will come back strong. I think they come back sort of maybe with a little less intensity than they left with. But I think the 5-1 victory they've had most recently, I was
5-0
impressed by.
actually. Sorry,
Sorry,
I
yeah,
didn't even 5-0. Yeah.
5-0 win recently. That's impressive. And I mean, I don't.
Timo Werner is on
Yeah,
another planet, isn't he?
incredible
He's
player,
class.
incredible player. Comes to the Premier League, he could do some serious damage. I think.
I think Liverpool want him, don't they? I think
Yeah. I think
the big rumour.
some funny thing about it is Liverpool have such a good front three already.
Yeah, I would be interested in the fact because I mean he wouldn't go cheap. Like he's a 25 goal a season striker, and he'd be at the highest class. So I mean he'd probably at least be worth. I'm not sure what his contract situation is, but 80, sort of 70, 80, 90 mil in today's market. But would you really have him over Firmino? Would you play Firmino deeper, or would you?
Yeah.
I mean that.
I don't.
He's not
I
a
mean,
bench player. He's not a
no,
bench
no,
player.
he's
That's
not a
for
bench
sure.
player at all. And yeah, I think Leipzig could come back strong. I think they're going to fall short. I don't think they're going to stick with.
Yeah. No.
Looking at Dortmund and looking at Bayern Munich, it's between those two now.
Well,
and
yeah, I mean,
so
Bayern Munich.
I would say Bundesliga has done a lot of things right so far.
Yeah,
I haven't
I
seen
think
I haven't seen too many people complaining about how they've sort of composed themselves and stuff. I would say things have been done right, and a lot of positives can be taken from it. And going forward, Premier League can look for that as a start, because we've talked about quite extensively. Sort of, will Bundesliga mess up? Will there be more COVID cases? Will there be sort of uncertainties about did they do this right? Have they done this right? But they've literally put in every measure. Like some of the measures they put in, I wouldn't even think about. So
you're right. Yeah,
I've been very impressed, and I hope the Premier League sort of has been taking note. And
I think on that point as well is that the critics of it are saying, well, I mean, obviously I don't really watch German football, and if there's no fans or atmosphere there, then it might not. Like, obviously, why would I be enthralled or why would I enjoy it? But if you put your team in in that position, I mean, those games were good quality games, and the Premier League would be the same sort of standard. So if it was your team instead, I'd be glued to the TV like always. Obviously, it wouldn't be exactly the same, but I think in this situation, they've done a really good job at telling the Premier League how to do it. And
again, I don't think football is sort of undermined if you watch it from a neutral standpoint. It's sometimes more enjoyable because you don't need to worry about the result, so you can actually take football for what it is, and with no sort of tribal attitude gets in the way of that. Anyway, talking about tribal attitudes, let's talk about Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich, the big one.
I said that in a Spanish accent. My apologies. The Klassiker. I don't know how. I don't know. Sorry,
I don't know how to say it,
but I know it's the Klassiker, and please, any German listeners, tell me how to correct that.
I don't know any German. I'm not gonna comment. I'll see if you did it right.
I'm so looking forward to this game. I'm telling you, it's so. I mean, looking at both teams' first two matches, both won convincingly in their first two matches. Dortmund against Schalke looked like Guerrero, Hazard, Haaland. Obviously, Haaland still looks incredible at 19, or maybe he's 20 now.
But he scored the first goal back, didn't he? It was after.
He did.
Was it?
Yes.
I don't know why I think this was it 8 minutes or something. I don't remember.
I can't remember. But
yeah.
But Dortmund, so they won 4-0 at home against Schalke, decent team, and also 2-0 away at Wolfsburg, who are also a decent team. I have to say, I watched both of those. Schalke are like, after they got the first goal, they were just better. They're on ball. Their possession is frightening to watch. Schalke looked a bit disinterested after not disinterested, sorry, disheartened after the first two goals, because after that they were really sunk. And then Wolfsburg was a bit of a different game. They didn't have as many chances. They weren't quite as clinical. But then also you can take that on the same or a different side of paper and say, if you're winning games 2-0 away from home and not playing very well, then that's can only be a good.
Yeah,
a good,
exactly.
a good sign.
And Wolfsburg aren't, they're not a nothing team. They're
No,
s-
no.
they're
They're
sixth
they're
at the moment, I
pushing
think.
for so they're sixth. So there's a top league of five basically is what we're looking at, and
Mm.
it's sort of like Bayern Munich down to Mönchengladbach. No, sorry. So it's the top five, and then sort of Wolfsburg are best of the rest, and
Yeah.
those best of the rest are all pushing for that last Europa League
Mm-hmm.
spot, and Wolfsburg are in decent form. Like, so that's no pusher. So obviously Dortmund have done really well. Munich, I mean,
So
2-0 away.
2-0 was the first game, wasn't it? And
2-0 away at Union
I
Berlin. Yeah.
I watched that, and quite steady. I thought it was quite a steady performance. I didn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't like the really high intensity that you sort of saw in a Champions League Bayern Munich. We were sort of before all this. I thought it was very calculated. It was very slow. Obviously, Lewandowski penalty, easy goal.
Yeah.
I
That was a
thought.
weird penalty, by the way. What did you make of that? The way he did like a load of penalties in one, in the sort of like the stutter, the
Yeah,
Jorginho, the sort of
yeah.
looking around. It was
It,
great, but
I mean, doesn't. I never really worry how people take penalties because as long as you go to the
as long
back
as
of
it
the net,
goes in,
yeah.
yeah.
I think Paul Pogba took the piss a bit when he sort of like took a run up really
Oh
slowly.
my god.
But other than that, yeah, it was a bit odd. But you kind of just like hit it, Robert. But
Yeah.
other than that,
I mean,
in terms of the Munich's performance, calculated, composed, well technically played,
it's
easy,
classic Munich, isn't it?
classic
They just
Munich.
did the
They
job
they did
very
the
easily.
job they needed to. They carried on. What was the result of the most previous game? I
And
know they were a bit.
it was
They're a bit
five.
more.
It was 5-2. It was such a weird game. I didn't actually manage to watch this one, but I watched the highlights and had a little
Mm,
look at it. And so they went 3-0 up,
mm,
and then this is where I think Dortmund need to capitalise tonight. They went 3-0 up, and then within the space of 5 minutes in the second half, it was suddenly 3-2, and then they were all jittery and nervous,
mm,
and
mm.
from set pieces, they're all over the place. And then obviously their class shone through in the end, and they got another 2 goals. So it finished 5-2, but it was a really weird game. That there is defensive frailties there. I think
Mhm.
that's and
Yeah.
that'll be a big point for Dortmund, because I mean
Mhm.
Dortmund's attack are obviously, you've got Lewandowski, who's in the form of his life, but I wouldn't say either attack is really sort of any better than the other if you're looking at both of them. Like,
Mm.
and Dortmund, I think it'll be a real confidence booster to Dortmund that they haven't conceded any in their first 2 games,
Yeah.
and got buying shit too. And obviously, we have to touch on the fact. Obviously, there's no fans, but it is at Dortmund. So, do you think that
Mm.
could play a part, even though there's no fans? Or
If there was fans, I'd say yes. The fact there
yeah,
isn't fans, I don't think it matters where you play your
no,
games, to be
I
honest.
agree.
And I think
Unfortunately, I
I
agree.
think that's maybe why we've seen sort of Dortmund be so strong away, and we've seen Munich be so strong away, and a lot of teams like have good strong away performances because they don't have that pressure of of a different
Yeah,
crowd of different fans. And
of
I think that
50,000 fans, yeah,
I
shouting, yeah.
I think that works in benefit of both teams because it's just all about the football. Then I don't think people go, but the home fans push you on. You go, yes, they do, but you have to accept there isn't any fans. So it's how well you play football, and Bayern Munich and Dortmund play football incredibly well. Talking about them coming up against each other today, I've gone for a 2-2 draw in terms of what I'm thinking, but it's a very risky result because you've talked about Bayern Munich's defensive frailties, and I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dortmund, they've got Haaland, they've got Sancho.
I really hope Sancho starts, because
Mm.
I'm not sure if you watched the Dortmund Wolfsburg game, but as soon as Sancho came off the bench at about 60 minutes, he lit, like it was like a spark. Like, he came on
He should be starting.
immediately,
He
was
should be
getting at
starting.
defenders. I mean, the assist
Yeah.
for Hakimi was lovely. I mean, he comes on and gets an assist, like
Mm.
turning a player, moving forward, assisting it. Like,
Yeah.
I really want him to be starting. Hazard, Thorgan Hazard, yeah, he's a great player, he's not on the same wavelength. And like Haaland and Sancho working together before the coronavirus were just deadly. And having those two running,
I think because of this is a classic game. This is a German derby. You have to have your best players up there, and like Sancho is the best left wing person you've got there, and I honestly think you want that coupling up, and as I was saying, you want that coupling up could work really in Dortmund's favour today, because Bayern Munich, they've got Lewandowski up front, and I think they can do a lot of damage. But Bayern Munich are a really, really good team, but I don't think they're going to have the sort of intensity they've had in the past against Dortmund, you know, with Iron Robin running up the wing and Ribéry in there as well.
Possibly not.
You know, I think they've played each other already this season, haven't they? I don't remember the result of that game.
I think it was unfortunately a big win for Bayern. I need to check, but I have to say though, I mean, these teams are both stacked with unbelievable left and right backs. Like something like Alphonso Davies, 19 years old from Canada, is tearing it up. Obviously, you've got Hakimi, who's so quick, and Ferreira as well. Like, so, and Pavard as well. Like, Pavard. Like, these are phenomenal fullbacks that I guess will be very in terms of Sancho. I think Sancho is one of the best wingers in the world, but he will have a tough. He'll be up again. Davies, I think, but whatever, it's going to be a fascinating battle between the wingers as well. The likes of Thomas, like Sancho. It'll be
absolutely, absolutely. I think it's these sort of games are always the most exciting because you get to see the best players battle it out against each other, and it's a really exciting prospect. I think for me, they've both come back with the same sort of drive and intensity they have. Bayern Munich have 61 points on the table. Dortmund have 57.
I think Dortmund need to win.
Dortmund need to win today. I think that's a must win. If Bayern Munich win now, I think they could run away because they've got the intensity, they've got the 4-point gap. This either has to be a draw or a win for Dortmund today.
I think a draw wouldn't be the end of the world. I think this is a huge chance, obviously, for Dortmund to gain 3 points and Bayern to obviously not get any. But a draw would keep like 4 points. If that is only like a draw and a loss here and there in the last remaining game, so it is still on. But just a win, I think, for morale, for Bayern's confidence, that could work in Dortmund's favour. So go on then. So you said 2-2.
I've said 2-2. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to go for a draw. They've both been incredibly strong coming back into this. They've both got the deadly formations, and they've both technically really sound teams. And I can't pick a winner from that. My head. By the way, Bayern won 4-0 last time at the Allianz Arena. So hopefully, because I really want Dortmund to win. I really do. But let's say, look, my head is saying 1-1 because I think obviously both defenses are pretty solid. Heart is saying a cheeky. My heart's saying a 3-2 Dortmund. 3-2 Dortmund. Sancho cuts in last minute, bang to the top corner. I think Alex, you're better off going for that latter result because there are going to be goals. There's going to be goals in this game. There's going to be goals in this game.
Come on.
They've scored combined amount of goals of what, like 15 goals. So there's going to be goals in 2 games. So there's going to be goals in this game for sure. It's a very exciting one. We're both very excited, and we'll be seeing a live score that is on 5:30 today. Obviously, you'll probably be listening to this after this game, but it's very exciting. Hopefully, our results pull off because then I can win some money. But other than that, we're very excited for this. The Bundesliga is going well. Bayern Munich
There we
versus
go.
Dortmund is happening today, and it is a title decider.
Up the yellows, come on.
Up the yellows, up the
yellows.
reds, whatever side.
Nah, not up the reds.
Talking about let's move on now. Let's talk about an interesting thing that's happening in the English football world. League 1 and 2. Obviously, lots of news going around at the moment. Quick update on that. League 2 has been finished, cancelled. They are using an unweighted points per game system, and it will mean that Swindon will be announced champions of the league. What do we think?
I don't. It's really sad for these types of clubs, because these are the types of clubs that are suffering the most. Like they just end pretty much. Well, not all, but a lot of their income is ticket sales and income for home matches, buying season tickets, blah 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 blah. Having no one here, I feel really bad for them. However, look, I think they don't have the financial resources, do they?
No.
They don't have the financial resources to do what the Premier League is trying to do, or to do what the Bundesliga is doing. They just can't do it, and you have to, we've said enough times, so as this is in the podcast, safety has got to be number one priority. And if they can't ensure that, if they can't say we're going to do it to a suitable level for all of you and for all your staff, because it's not like they don't have far less staff, far less whatever stewards at games, but it's going to be not quite as many, but just enough.
Alex, I would just readjust your mic briefly, bud. But other than that, you're fine. Carry on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're just a bit muffled, is all.
My apologies. Look, it's a tricky situation, but they can't. They can't expect to carry on without the guarantee of what the Premier League is offering, and they just don't have the financial resources to do that. So you'd probably have to say that actually it's a sensible decision, as hurtful as that might be to some of the clubs.
So I'm quite interested by the way they've decided this, and I think you can sort of argue whether it's the right thing to do or not. They've used a point system, and they've tried to think of the fairest way to end the season without another game being played in these lower leagues. The testing, the safety measures, the sort of environment they're going to have to put themselves into. These are players that aren't on a lot of money. They're professional footballers, of course they are, but they're not anything of Premier League calibre. You can't, the like you mentioned, the lower leagues don't have that sort of resources to be able to safely, properly safely, like the Bundesliga, pull off finishing the season. A points per game system seems the fairest. It seems the easiest. They've done Sky have done a lot of things, sort of going, if the Premier League did this, what would the table look like? Obviously, Liverpool would still be champions. Bournemouth would be relegated, and so would Aston Villa and Norwich. But Premier League's different because it shouldn't end like that, because if it does, then Arsenal finish above Tottenham, and that can't happen. So other than that, jokes aside, I think sort of the lower leagues are right to finish. I think the Championship's different because the Championship has direct impact with the Premier League. And those two have to sort of figure out between that. I'm thinking League 1, League 2, these are, sort of much. It's tricky, isn't it? I think all of this is tricky, and I don't think we can sit here and say they got it right, they got it wrong. I think the important thing is we understand that these lower leagues don't have the sort of resources at hand. And I was interested from you, Alex. What do you obviously EFL includes Championship in this as well? there's been reports recently that they're going to need some sort of help from the Premier League to sort of survive, so to speak, or financially deal with all this. Do you think it'd be fair the Premier League hand over some money?
I mean, look. I mean, I was going to make the point just before that, and it actually leads quite nicely into it. Is that it's really hard to have this conversation without sounding almost elitist and sounding like it, because obviously we both support Premier League teams. So we're both invested highly in the Premier League, and obviously for us, League One and League Two, we're not as engaged in. So it's really hard to have this conversation and not be elitist and almost not sound like we don't care and we don't appreciate what clubs value and stuff, because obviously we understand that. So look, the Premier League is one of the most watched leagues in the world, if not the most watched. And the TV money, the advertising, it is immense. Like, it's a global conglomerate for flipping sake. Not I was about to swear. I held myself back. Look, it's got to have like financial power in this sense to help out the lower leagues, because it's where every club in England aspires to be. It's the holy grail. So in a time like this, then they have to show that it's not sort of a different world, as in like they have to make a statement that everything's connected, because if they don't, then that what sort of message does that send out, in the fact that okay, there's 20 teams here, the rest are, they'll go between the leagues, and then when 3 clubs come up from the Championship, they can be part of it, and then you have to try and make it feel like there's still the top 4 leagues, not just 3 leagues and then a different branch out altogether. So so I think they definitely should.
Swindon's managers come forward today and said that from this, Swindon will be made champions. They were actually second when this season finished.
I'm looking at it now. It's very interesting.
But 1 game hand above Crewe. They will be announced champions if this system goes ahead, as most likely will. Is that a bit unfair on Crewe?
Look, I mean, I'm sure. I think if it was the fact that, like they do in the conference, for example, if it was just one team getting promoted, like one team getting automatically promoted, and as such, obviously they become champions, then the rest fight it out in the playoffs. Obviously, you'd have grievances about that, but at the end of the day, that what you work for if you're a football league club is getting promoted, and Crewe they're gonna get promoted. So I don't think really they can. I think complaints.
I think we should add from that. So the teams that will get promoted are Crewe, Swindon, and Plymouth, and the playoffs are set to actually be played in a safe condition. So obviously there are situations in which you can play some games. Obviously, they just don't want to risk playing the rest of the games all out. They see that as unnecessary, but they've done it in a certain way to get the season done and get the season as fair as it possibly can. I think the points per game system is a fair league. It takes how teams have been performing, and frankly, if everyone did that, I wouldn't see a problem in it. Obviously, though, Premier League football has such a big following, you have to take it with a different pinch of salt, and for that reason. So with that, then obviously we said League One, League Two, they've had to do things a bit differently. To the Premier League is now the training's back underway for Premier League. I imagine you're quite excited by it, Alex. Are you worried as well?
Yes, of course. You've got to take the facts as they come. Look, they've tested in the first batch. They discovered, was it 6 positive?
Yeah, there's been a lot more positive
in the first 3 tests. So you're like, well, and of it's tricky as well, because obviously there's an argument as in they're all obviously very fit young professional footballers, so it may not affect them. But then where do you sort of draw the line with that? Like they have to go
Mhm.
home to families and
Mm.
to see loved ones. So of course there's an element of doubt, but you just in a time like this where in politics you can't trust anyone anymore. You can't the media you can't trust. You have to hope, and the Premier League is taking all that into consideration,
Yeah.
and it sounds like they are going to carry on through with it. So fair
Yeah.
play, as long as they're going to follow the example set, then
I think
you just got to go with it.
I've seen a lot of positives coming from Premier League. Sort of the training grounds have been well set up and things have been put in place. But with the increases of cases, it does concern me slightly because that this is what a lot of teams are worried about. They're worried
Yeah.
they get back in, there'll be more positive cases and things like this. I think on a national level, taking away football, taking away everything, this country's moving forward very well at the moment. There's a lot of figures to suggest that as well. I just don't want football to be a thing that brings it all back. And if they need to contain it best they can. Obviously, these are only positive cases. Doesn't mean they've died. Doesn't mean they necessarily will.
Well, no, they won't. They won't. Well,
No.
I mean, obviously, you can't say they won't, but there's like a zero. I think it's what is it like a 0.1%
Yeah.
of 18 to 30-year-olds. I think have passed away from it. Sadly, passed away. So
Yeah.
look, I think you have like the Premier League know what they're doing. Like they
Yes.
you
I
have to
think
trust that they know what they're doing.
I think the government has said no football till July anyway, at the earliest. That is really going to financially cripple sort of the lower leagues, which is why they've taken the decision they have. Absolutely the right decision in my opinion.
Yeah,
Premier League should definitely step in and help the Championship finish off, though,
for sure.
especially with funding, and also lower league so they can get started again, sort of September time, August, September when the next season starts. Premier League, I would say, I have taken quite a lot. I think going back to our Bundesliga review, if they could take a few more things from there, then that would be even better. Simply just because how well Germany have dealt with majority of these issues. Yeah, I got more to add to that actually.
No, I think we covered that well. I mean, as I said earlier, it's very hard to sort of look at it and not sort of almost sound ignorant to the fact that it's from what some of these clubs are going through. But with you just have to take it what it is, and then from what it sounds like, they're being good enough to let things play out according to how the country's doing. So you got to tip your hat to them, I suppose.
Of course.
For sure. Right. So what is the final topic, Zachary? I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. So we've got an interesting conversation now. Obviously, countries get chosen to do World Cups all the time, but England hasn't. England hasn't done it for a while, and
since 1966.
Since
over 50 years.
Since England won it. Okay.
Yeah. So let's bring it back so we can win it again. This is right. Conversation done. Thank you very much for watching me.
2030 World Cup in England. What are we thinking?
Look, so here's what I'm going to take into my argument for it. USA. Let me just have a look at this. I'm pretty sure in the last USA World Cups, I'm pretty sure they've held it. What was it?
If your point's going to be they've held it more than England, then I'm with you.
No, so hang on. Okay, World Cup hosting. Look, I think in the last 50 years, they've held it 3 times, I believe. It's like, and
I never knew that actually.
And and obviously, 2 years, but obviously in 2026, Canada, Mexico, and USA are all co-hosting a World Cup.
Okay.
Now, if you're looking at that, then you're like, this is a footballing nation that hasn't been. They've only adopted the sport relatively recently.
Yes.
This will be their third World Cup in the space of 50 years, just over. And my apologies. And if if they have that, what do England not have that we couldn't support a fantastic World Cup? First of all, I think a really important factor is that our country is small. Like the furthest teams would have to travel would be 8 hours in a coach probably, and that's
Yeah.
assuming they take a coach. They'll probably take
Jet
a
off.
plane or whatever,
Yeah, that'll be fine.
and they'd be there in an hour. So like you have to take these sort of things into consideration. Like people, like players constantly complain about
Well,
travel in World Cups
well,
and
this is the issue, and I'm sorry to butt in there, Alex,
go on.
but this is the thing. You wouldn't even have to travel.
That's it.
In London, we have Wembley, we have the Olympic Stadium, we have Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we have Stamford Bridge. You know,
You have
obviously
Arsenal, yeah, the Emirates as well. Sorry, I know you don't
Like
want to mention that, but
obviously, people probably be like, "Why don't we use Old Trafford? Why don't we use Anfield?" And yeah, of course, that's a completely reasonable argument. But even if you want to cut down that travel, there are enough stadiums to host the World Cup in London, and they are
yeah.
good stadiums. They're traditional stadiums. They're classic stadiums, and they're new stadiums. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium's what, a year old?
Oh,
You know,
and it's amazing as well. It's
it's
arguably one of the best
yeah.
stadiums in world football. So
So, you know,
look, and
I don't understand how I didn't actually know the thing you've just said, and
mm,
uh,
mm,
how we are the home of football. This is where it comes from.
yeah,
We should have
the
hosted.
supposed home. Yeah,
The only time we've hosted it was once in 1966 when we won it. So the question is, Alex, if we do host it in 2030, do we win it again?
well, look, all I'm saying is that by 2030, Sancho will be in his prime. Uh, Abraham might. No. Who's the Greenwood will be in his prime. We've got Henderson will be in his prime. Oh,
Mm,
we've got stacks and stacks. And look, obviously, you can't call so far into the future.
no, of
Um,
course not.
I think. Look, I think we've got a really fantastic squad that can carry us forward into the future.
Mm,
2030 is looking too far into it, but I just really do think that it would be the perfect time for like it's been such a long time since we've
yeah,
had one. I
yeah.
mean, as I was saying, like, and as you just said, players constantly complain about travel. Like they're saying in Russia, like having to travel however many hours from one stadium to the next.
Mm,
Like that wouldn't be a problem. We've got grounds that are so rich in history, like Old Trafford and Anfield and places, which you're right, we might not even have to use, but having that as an option,
yeah, of
and
course.
obviously St James's Park and places like that. And
Hmm.
having said that, in these are all cities which players could easily base themselves in, and
Yeah.
like these are all like if we're like going into sort of like human geography here, is that these are all built up cities, all very um very well run cities. Like
Mm.
it seems a no brainer, and like it seems the perfect type of atmosphere. And
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about atmosphere to that, you know, if there's any country in the world, if there's any type of fan in the world that can get a party started or a riot, depending how you see it, it's England, isn't it? It
oh,
has to be
of
England.
course it is. Of course it is.
You don't think of any other country when it comes to football that can get football fans going and get it all sort of riled up and the ego of football going than England. We
There
are
you
the
go.
best at it, you know,
Oh, no contest. No contest.
and the thing is, the football's becoming sort of engulfed by these industries, by these money profiteering things. You know, 2022 is in Qatar. Like literally
Oh.
have a football team just for that World Cup. Like
Have you watched the documentary that Gary Neville did on it?
I haven't actually, no.
You need to watch that. It's on YouTube. It's really fascinating. Like
Mm,
there's obviously he meets with the coordinator or someone who's a key role behind the scenes,
mm,
and obviously they come up with all these rationales and reasons for what's happening and where and why and how they're going to improve things. But the fact is, workers are dying. They're working in unsafe conditions over in Qatar. I mean, I think this is actually probably a really good topic for another video, for our next video. But just like touching on it quickly, they're a country that has no background in football whatsoever. They're treating workers appallingly, who are obviously need the money provided for their families, whatever. They're working in unsafe conditions, and obviously it might be a winter World Cup due to the heat. I mean, what that just they all sort of. If you're saying that doesn't sound like a football World Cup. A football World Cup is meant to be
it drains the magic out of it, doesn't it? I think there's definitely draining of it. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I will watch the documentary as well. It sounds very, very fascinating. Yeah,
I think as well. Just quickly, is that what I like to look at when I'm thinking of England hosting the World Cup is the Olympics, London 2012 Olympics. Possibly, like they said, possibly one of the greatest Olympics ever held. It was run so smoothly. It was every stadium was built to perfection. Obviously, it's a bit different with football stadiums are already pre-built, but if we can do that and we've got the infrastructure to do that, why couldn't we do something with the stadiums we have already?
Absolutely, and you know, I think this country's been through a lot, you know, politically, socially, and football always has a way of bringing people together, and
it could really be a fantastic year.
And if we treat it in the same idea of as the Olympics, a little bit of context with the Olympics, when they built the Olympic Park, they over budgeted, they put all this money into it. They regenerated most of the lower Lee Valley, sort of that east end of London, which was a deprived area. These people now have a regenerated area in which economy is massively improving due to it, and people are out of poverty, out of deprivation because that was able to bring charity work in, it was able to bring the funding in, and the chance for this country to grow and to be and not to be divided in its sort of broken structure that we were in, and that is what the Olympics did, and the World Cup can do that again, maybe even better.
Well, why not? Why not? I mean, it'll be by that time. It'll be 18 years further on. So hopefully, you know, we've learned and we've got better at it. But look, I mean, I for one really hope it happens. I'm not sure when decisions get made, isn't it? Maybe 7 years. 7 years prior, I think. Is it? Maybe I'm not sure.
Must be.
Maybe it's 2020. Actually, 2023. I guess so. A long time, but
yeah.
But anyway, does that conclude our chat? I think it might.
I think it does. We'll just go about Bundesliga is doing great. We're really happy to see that back. League One, League Two made the right decision. Premier League is exciting times ahead, and England to host the 2030 World Cup. Make it happen. We'll make it happen.
If that is not the perfect summary, I do not know what is. Thank you very much for listening, guys. I've been Alex the A. I've been with Zach the
Z.
There we go. We got it better that time. Please like, comment, subscribe if you managed to get it this far. And as always, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much for watching. See ya. Bye.